Cram, what's good?
Oh man, what's good, man?
GM,
Um,
bro.
yeah, GM, bro. I'm just enjoying this holiday. Um, so I'm just chilling with the kids, getting ready to go to a little get together, have some food, relax. It's Memorial Day. What's good with you, man?
Sometimes I gotta remind myself it's a holiday, bro. 1 second. I know I got bad service right here. I said sometimes I gotta remind myself it's a holiday because Web3 don't sleep, bro. We're always on here. I think I was in Web3 on Christmas. Like I was still on Twitter, checking Twitter. I don't know if I was in Spaces though.
Same, bro. I can't turn this off, bro. It don't matter what day it is. I'm always on. I gotta even if I'm like, oh, day off. Like I'm still on the space though. Like that's my day off. I'm just not on the timeline like on Twitter, replying and all of that.
Have you been on a space pretty much every day for a long time? You've
Yeah,
been
probably
like
like
then
365 days of spaces straight. I it's like it's a part of me now. It is what it is. I am deep into NFTs and digital collectibles, and I don't know, man. I'm stuck. I can't get out. I got an obsessive personality, so I'm obsessed with Web3.
Dude, I'm the exact same way. Like when I dive into something, like I go in, bro. If I love it, like I go in deep. Um, you know what this kind of reminds me though? Is like I used to live with my uncle for a little bit, and I would wake up and he would be out. This was, years ago. He'd be outside reading the newspaper, getting caught up on all of the companies and stocks that he was invested in. Like he would make sure he was up to date by reading the newspaper, checking the news, all that stuff. I think this is like our version of that. You know what I mean? Like we stay on Twitter, we're in spaces. It's our version of staying up to date with what we hold interest in or invested in. You know what I mean? It's just the newer Web3 version of reading the newspaper every morning. The timeline mainly,
The only difference
right?
is it's not just in the morning, it's literally all day and night. That's the only difference, like 12, 14 hours a day, like tapped in. Oh,
Yeah.
yes. Yes.
I think a space about balance, a work life healthy balance might be needed. This might not be the one, but it's for sure something I think about. But then again, I just kind of go with it, dude. Like as long as it doesn't feel like it's taking away any value from my life, then I don't see an issue with it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, give me the give me the TLDR. What's going on with this Rimowa stuff, man? What's happening? I mean, we're forging, but what's good?
I started this space to get the TLDR from the people actually forging because I'm not forging. So we got Shekinah up here. Maybe Shekinah's forging. Maybe she can tell us how it went.
I am not.
How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm actually not foraging. I came up to say what's up because I don't like do the late nights with you guys anymore. And you're like you have like a daytime space compound. But no, like I remember like Rimowa, what like in the fall. And so what is it like a fancy, just like well-known European was it like luggage and maybe they have some backpacks as well. And so those that bought, because a lot of people were buying, what is it like the worker bots? That's around the same time, and so I didn't do either, unless I knew for a fact the worker bots were going to be toys, and there was no guarantee or clarification around that. But yeah, so the people that forged those suitcases in the fall are now able to finally do that forge, and hopefully they'll get that by the end of this year, if not early next year. I don't think there's been any timeline set, but that's just what it is. I don't think there's anything.
It says
Go ahead.
I just invited Antonio up. It looks like he just forged. It says estimated delivery summer 2023. That's awesome. Um, that's a better timeline than expected. So that's nice to get those expectations. So it looks like yeah, they're forging their Rimowas, and inside were these advanced worker bots, and there was actually a piece of art in there as well that almost looks like a map. So when I get Ilan in here and maybe a couple other quest doers, maybe we can start pointing the phones at that map or like looking at it, like at the piece of art, and let's see if any of those QR codes pop or if it shows us any information. But yeah, it looks like a couple people have forged. I just retweeted Antonio's. Let me throw his at the top.
Wait, quick question on these, like on the remote, the worker bots. I keep seeing stuff about like them having like vials or something like on their backs. Can you guys touch on that? Is that like a fact, or are we still speculating?
No, there is a little slot for the vials, and then there was an IRL worker bot in Miami that had this big slot for the vials as well. So yeah, there is definitely. But again, that going back to the Monolith One days and these vials, and maybe moving forward, everything will have a slot for a vial, so you can kind of customize it with your different DNAs or different vials. And this is only the start, right? The worker bots were the next iteration that had slots in them, other than the crypto dunks. So that was cool to see as well. But
Oh, that's dope. I wonder if the clones have a slot somewhere for a vial. Have you guys talked about that? Or you could like transform your clone. I feel like I've heard some speculation on this.
We have a pill.
I don't want to go too far off the deep end.
no, we can this is not an official artifact space or a Rimowa space. This is a community space. We can speculate all we want. There is no official alpha here because I don't know shit. So, and I doubt any of you guys do too. So it'll just be a bunch of chickens running around with their heads cut off. But it could be fun. It could be fun.
One bad take vial. Like, is that something that could happen?
Like it's like our color scheme is all black and white. Like, but the branding book just has black and white colors in it. Yeah, dude, I'm down. Just anything and everything in black and white. They're my two favorite colors.
Because they aren't colors.
Or the absence of color is what they are, right? One. Oh shit! What's up, Prez?
Hey, what's good, everybody?
What's the news, bro? Did you forge?
No, I just got home, so I'm gonna wait for gas to go down, and I'll forge my 2 Rimowas ASAP. Just wanted to chime in on the Rimowa worker bot speculation. All right, so I have a theory. This is purely wild theory. Okay, guys, follow me on this one. I feel like the worker bots have been teased a lot during like the Animus campaign and even during like the space bot thing. I feel like they are going to have a utility introduced. So currently we know how it looks like space pods are going to have some influence on your egg, right? So you're going to potentially incubate your pod in the egg or the egg in the pod and potentially influence the outcome of your egg's, say, rarity. We don't really know any details yet, but let's just assume that the pods somehow influence the rarity of the egg. All right, now this is where the worker bot comes in. So I think that the worker bots may have a role to play with the egg incubation in the sense that you assign an egg to a pod to incubate, but then you might be able to assign a worker bot to a pod, which would then, help with you incubating the egg and potentially boost the egg's rarity. And then if you were to, say, equip a skin vial to the worker bot, maybe that would further boost the worker bot stat, which would then help boost your egg. So I don't know if anybody's feeling this one. Maybe worker bots assigned to space pods to look after eggs. That's my theory.
That's why I bought my worker bot like a couple of months ago, because someone had the same theory, or Clonespiracy did.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say, like, I just randomly, because I didn't buy a worker bot, but I just went on OpenSea, and yeah, the worker bots are like under point. They're just under 0.1 ETH, so like just 0.99 is what they are going for right now. And when you read like the description, it says it's what the Wondersmith's trusted assistants carrying out all types of activities, for the artisans, such as aluminum welding, regular inspection, general maintenance. So it just seems like they're always going to be involved, in anything going forward that has to do with forging or building out whatever this new world or metaverse that Artifact may be doing. So it sounds like they'll always be around. So I don't know. I don't have any, but they're pretty cheap right now, and that's all
25
I.
to 1 ETH.
Say it again.
Like about like 25 to 1 ETH. Like the floor's really thin on them.
Oh wow. What's the supply on them? I never got a Rimowa. I missed the mint. And I never got a worker bot either. It was all a part of the same thing. But I'm just excited for everybody else to forge their suitcases.
There's a little over 2,000. I think there's 2,222 worker bots, and now there's one new worker bot with every Rimowa suitcase. I guess that brings it up to roughly 3,000 worker bots total. Yes, they do have that skin vial slot on the back. I figured they're kind of playing that part quiet right now because, as you guys know, like the whole Dunk Genesis skin vial system is like currently offline, probably awaiting a huge update. So I figure they're not really going to lean into the whole worker bots and putting vials on them until, the entire Dunk Genesis skin vial, that whole system's back online and has like a new course kind of plotted for it. I'm kind of excited for that. Right now I'm personally collecting dunks and skin vials.
No one has forged the expensive one yet. Like there's only 7 of those. Or did someone do it?
I haven't checked it. I'm gonna have to look.
Yeah, let me check. I'm looking for the post-forge collection is what I'm looking for.
Just go on
So,
the
quick
artifact wallet and
question.
you can see recently created.
Yeah.
Quick question about like all the Rimowa bags or suitcases. I know there's different quantities and stuff like that, but did they specify like I guess the difference between each of those? Because I kind of missed all the Rimowa like stuff, the worker bot and the suitcases, so I haven't really dove too deep. But yeah, what are the differences between these besides the quantities?
Like from what's being like forged right now, it looks like all the suitcases are the same, but then you get a different worker bot and you get like these weird artifact things.
Oh, they're all different murals. It's a metafud mural. And they're all different like little pieces of art that you get out of there. I wonder if they're all unique. I have yet to seen 2 metafud murals that are the same, which is kind of cool actually.
I think there might be something more to the murals than just like a giveaway collectible. They might interface with a future quest of some kind, or I've long suspected. You guys may be aware of this, but Rimowa, of course, is part of the LVMH House of Brands. I long suspected that there's going to be a artifact Louis Vuitton collab in the future. And it's possible that what better way to maybe distribute that, let's say, the mint pass to this Louis Vuitton collab than by giving it to maybe Rimowa holders. So I'm thinking you might want to hold on to the murals, the worker bots, the forged suitcase. You never know if those NFTs are either going to get, something Louis Vuitton airdrop to them or at least get access to a future Louis mint. I don't know if anybody else thinks this is a bit of a stretch, but I mean, come on, who better to reward with a Louis mint than people who went ape into the Rimowa mint?
I mean, there's the checkerboard print on a lot of these.
So if you look at
things.
what I put at the top, it looks like how many total luggages is there? Was it 1,000 of them?
888.
888. It looks like each NFT from the MetaFUD mural is a piece of the one above. So they broke it into 888 pieces, and each little piece makes up the mural above, which is I don't know. That's actually cool as shit.
I think the bags
One
are
giant
like
mural, and then
engraved.
each. Yeah, here I can put the link to this collection in the comments. But yeah, each person is getting a piece of an overall mural. It's kind of like a commemorative item that you forge this. That's cool, dude. I actually want a piece of that.
But do you think
Yeah,
like
no,
that's what it's gonna look like in the suitcase, like metal engraved of all these designs?
Maybe inside the suitcase is a physical of the mural. Who knows?
no, I was gonna say like I don't know about the whole LVMH thing. I could see that happening. I can see Benoit wanting that and pushing for that. But I want to kind of agree with Prez because with the mural, it reminds me of something that they did, gosh, like a couple years ago. With their Fuosius drop, they had these bricks and like you needed to kind of like I don't know like try to collect them and then there was like a puzzle like behind them when you kind of put it together but because they were so artifact was so new on the scene a lot of people didn't do it and so I don't think they ever like so I think they just put it together themselves and so I'll be interested if they kind of do that play again and kind of add reward behind it but that's what it reminds me of and I don't know who in here would remember that but it would have been like March 2021, March, April 2021 when they would have done that.
Yeah, I wasn't here for that, but that's still a cool concept. I like that kind of stuff, honestly. Like I like gamifying them even more so. I like gamified NFTs, but like this specifically, this giant mural above, and then each little piece when someone forges gets a piece of this mural. And Prez, I don't think that your speculation is too crazy, man. I think that if there was ever a collab, um, with Louis, they would probably go to Rimowa, the Rimowa artifact holders to give them access to that mint first before anything, and then clones probably second, just because that partnership is already established. I think that's kind of the cool thing. I know we always say like, oh, clones need more access, more utility, but there are there's these sections of artifact where they've done collabs like the monolith has had its own utility. If you owned a loot pod, or a space pod, you got a loot pod. Like there's still these little sections of artifact that have been given either airdrops or access without ever needing a clone, which I think is important to people who may not have a clone yet or can afford a clone yet. They can still potentially get future access to things and not feel like they're holding a deadline, like the line has ended with the NFT that I bought. So I think that's an important thing to keep going.
You know what's funny too is that I think the worker bots and there are a lot of things within the say artifact ecosystem that we forget to mention because I remember like what a week or two ago we were with I don't even know I don't remember the guy's name but with a lot of the people from the Batcal community and they were asking questions of how to get into the ecosystem and what's a lower threshold to get in and none of us mentioned we mentioned monolith X as probably like the cheapest thing and then like the eggs but we didn't mention the worker bots so yeah I mean again they're really cheap and you don't know what's going to happen with them and I have to imagine they're going to do something with them because they continually are in the trailers that they're releasing.
Hey, I want to jump in really quick because when I first got, sorry, don't mind all the kids in the back. I'm in the middle of all three right now, so I don't know what's going on. But this is my Monday. I was gonna ask about so when I first got in, I noticed it was like a huge distinction between like artifact and then CloneX. So like it seemed like Rimowa is very much artifact. It doesn't seem like it bleeds into CloneX. Um, so I want to kind of get you guys' take on that. Like, what collections fall into like artifact and which fall into just CloneX, and just kind of have that clear distinction for maybe some of the people who are like newer. You guys
Yeah,
get where
CloneX
I'm
is
coming from?
lifestyle, and Artifact would be the luxury side, in my opinion.
yeah. I mean, and that's why when I just said what I just said, I said artifact ecosystem, but I didn't say CloneX. And I think anything that's CloneX is going to be related to the clones, the actual avatars. And that's why I said, yeah, it could be easy to forget what is what is in the artifact ecosystem because there is so much. Um, but yeah, I mean, I like what Kane said, but yeah, I would say anything that seems to be attached to the clones themselves, would be a part of, CloneX.
I think the Clones had access to mint a lot of these collabs, and then they become their own sections of artifact. Like I was just saying before, like now Rimowa artifact holders have access. Like when we were in Miami, there was an event that was not open to clones. It was open to Rimowa artifact holders. There were a lot of CloneX events as well, but they did make it special for the Rimowa artifact collab holders on one of the events. So I think that it's important for clones to have that initial access to maybe to get in on that other side of the ecosystem, but then also make those people who did buy that and don't have clones also feel special. It's a hard balance, dude, but I think they've kind of been managing that pretty well. I know we want access to everything as clones, but you do get initial access is what I'm saying, is you get that first opportunity to maybe mint them, and then from there they go down their kind of own path is what I've seen. Like I didn't take this path, right? I took the monolith path, I took the space pod and loose pod path, but I didn't take the Rimowa path, and I'm happy for everybody who did. I think it's a cool path. Leviant, what's up, bro?
Yo, what's up, gang?
GM.
GM, it's getting late out here, though. No, I'm trolling. I was just out on a basketball game, and I had to hop in because I decided to sleep in a bit this week and miss some spaces with you guys. But yeah, the Forge seems really exciting, to be honest, and I really loved what you just said, bro. You know, about how everybody chooses to take their own path, right? Because we all start from the clone, and then, you know, everybody can either double down or, you know, spend some more ETH here and there to do their own thing. You know, you've been doing main quests for sure. Me, I've been copying the merge hella hard. You know, I know people in here that got hella monolith X's, so that's dope. That's dope for sure.
Yeah, no, I love that. Like just kind of talking about different paths and you know, artifact, CloneX. They give you multiple ways. Like me, I'm super bullish on clones and animus. You know, I had to throw a monolith X in there too, just because. You got something to say, buddy? No? Okay, now you got nothing to say. When I put you on the spot. When I don't put you on the spot, then either way, yeah, so I'm bullish on animus, clones, and monoliths. So like everything outside of that, I'm not really like looking for, but I do know, I guess I do know that the space pods and loot pods and all that stuff, it seems like they have some type of connection with animus. So it's like, in a way, although you can take your own path, it feels like you're going to be forced to maybe buy some of those other items at some point in time, right? You know, once more the story kind of rolls out.
Yeah, fully agree. I fully agree too.
I think bro, I know I personally have dealt with a ton of FUD in the past of like people literally saying that the artifact ecosystem's too big. It's too much to grasp, which is not FUD. It's just a lot of different routes and paths that you can take and different entry points, right? Like I when we were forging Air Force Ones, I saw a guy forge a full set of Air Force Ones, but he didn't own a clone. Like he was just here for the sneakers. That's all he cared about. That was his thing, right? I've seen people who get in on the monolith ecosystem or the pods or now the worker bots and Rimowa. I think having these different lines, these different quests that you can kind of go down and pass is actually important, right? Because not every clones are fucking expensive, dude. Like this shit is expensive, you guys. Like
1 year's tuition. Let's go.
We are so yeah, exactly. We are so lucky to be in the positions that we are to own a lot of these NFTs, not just clones, but most of them. They're all expensive. But so it's important to have these different kind of access to the ecosystem, like these different access points, in my opinion. What's up,
for
Ted?
For sure.
What's up, Ted?
Now, sorry to jump in. Myself, I had bought the Air Force Ones when they were super low because I couldn't afford the clone, legit. And then as they kept climbing, clones kind of dropped, because I mean it's a high ticket PFP, no doubt, but that allowed me doing some side quests and keeping an eye out allowed me to finally get a clone, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, and then it's just a good way to dip your toes into it. So like when we were talking with the Batcow community, right? I was in the DMs with a few of them, and they grabbed some of the other assets first. They grabbed some Air Forces or some CIRLs, and as you get that in your wallet, you kind of want to start researching more. You go, okay, I got this, I secured this, I'm feeling good about this one. Let me dive into the ecosystem some more, right? And it just kind of opens that door to research. Whereas if you have no skin in the game in the first place, why spend all the time to do further investigation? So these lower priced access to the ecosystems are kind of like gateways almost to kind of dive further into what's going on here. And I've seen it happen with people. I've seen people onboard themselves into the ecosystem by just dipping their toes in with something small, right? So Shekinah's point earlier is like we do got to keep these worker bots in mind. Now that there's a whole different breeds of them and different styles of them, there's something special. There's something coming with the worker bots for sure. They wouldn't put the time into making all the different breed, like the different types, if they weren't going to have some utility in the future. That's a great point. Chevy, what's
Yo, what
good?
up, what up? I'm actually on my way to the gym right now. But guess what? I don't have to work today, so I can actually hang out with y'all. Man, I'm excited. Um, but yeah, man, like looking at these little bots, um, I'm excited. Like, I'm not gonna lie. I'm glad I didn't go too crazy here and went like all the way to the max and got division case or whatnot, given that it's ultimately just little bots inside. But I love the fact that they differentiated between each one of them, right? So, I know I was talking about the each one is going to match, or whatever is inside is going to match the ID, right? So the confidence, the red one, vision, blue, explorer, the yellow one, and mimic, green, right? So they each are going to have their own little function. Granted, I have no clue what it's going to be, but there's definitely some lore being built out, and you can see by the vial in the back of them that ultimately there's a lot more behind this, right? And I think it all ties back to the crypto dunks genesis. So super excited to see kind of like where this goes. Obviously you get a cool case out of it, but I think in a digital realm, there's definitely some lore being built, and wherever it is that we're going to land once we're done floating through space, I think these little bots will play a part. So I think it's pretty cool. I haven't forged mine yet. Obviously I'll do that a little bit later when gas is cheaper. But pretty sure I'm going to forge here. I'm excited.
Gas is at 30 Gwei. What are you guys waiting for? It's not going lower
Yeah,
than
it's not going
I'm
cheaper.
gonna wait.
What?
yeah.
Out of like
Listen,
20 quid?
listen.
We have had
I'm
30
gonna
in
wait till
weeks, bro. Y'all better
2
show
in the
up.
morning. Okay, when everybody's sleeping and the hype of like the four forges, has died down because people are asleep, or now we all know what's inside, and then I'll forge. I mean, I have a whole week, so I'm not rushing for this. I'm gonna
No, no,
forge
no.
for
You
like
gotta
less
force.
than $10. Okay, that's what I'm going for. You know me, like I'm not trying to spend more than I need to. Like I'm cheap like that, but I like to think I'm financially responsible. Uh, as much as this whole thing is ridiculous, right? I think that was actually a really good take, Compound. That's the first time I've heard you say, clones are expensive. I'm like, I've said that before. I'm like, even at 3 ETH, like this is not a cheap asset or a cheap whatever or hobby, right? So I think we definitely, to echo what you said earlier, we definitely have to feel privileged in one way, shape, or form to be able to afford all this stuff. So yeah, it's dope.
Nah, bro. Wait to forge. I want you to do. I wanna see a video of it. I know you'll do it special or live in the Discord. What's up, Prez?
Yeah, let's touch on a question that came in through the Bad Take Twitter DMs here. 604 Safiro says, can you gents touch on the Rimowa NFC chip being named differently from the Artifact World Merging chip? Yeah, so this has been covered before. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this. Artifact goodies generally come with the Artifact World Merging NFC chip. The Rimowa is supposed to be distinctly different. It's not a Artifact World Merging chip. It's a Rimowa NFC chip. What this really means, I don't know. I mean, I still think that when you get the Rimowa and you link the chip, it's probably still going to take you to artifact.com to complete the linking. I think it's still going to show up in your artifact.com inventory. Maybe this is just like a little legal stipulation. Maybe Rimowa wants to like ultimately have their name on the chip because it's their suitcase. And maybe if you look at the chip as like a sort of serialization, if maybe, because the suitcase comes with a lifetime warranty, when you finally pull up your serial number or your Rimowa, you scan your chip to do like a warranty claim with Rimowa. Maybe it only makes sense that the chip kind of belongs on their books. I really don't think that there's like a huge distinction I don't think that the Rimowa is not going to be featured within your artifact.com inventory. So I think it's just a sake of, Rimowa wanted their name on this chip. But I think for all intents and purposes, the Rimowa and the Artifact World Merging chip are pretty much the same thing. I don't know if anybody here feels
No,
different.
I think you're right, Prez.
Yeah, no, I just
Sorry, Shikana. Yeah, I think you're right, Prez. And if you look at the FAQs, that's also what they covered, right? Just kind of calling out the fact that you'll be able to link everything through the Artifact website. So it's really not going to feel any different when you go and link everything, the NFT to the physical. But yeah, that was one thing they called out in the FAQs. Sorry, Shikana, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it's all good. No, I just Googled, just to see if Rimowa already had that, and they do. So within their own products, they have like an NFC. So that's probably what it is. Prez them kind of just combining the two. But yeah, like that's something that Rimowa had prior to partnering with Artifact.
Yo, sorry to jump in, guys. Gotta hit the gym. Be back. Be back.
Hey, have fun, man. Hey, Antonio, what's up, bro? Congrats on forging, man.
Hey, so happy. Thanks for inviting me up here. Just a quick heads up. I don't know if Debbie's gonna be forging live, but the very last screen where you go through the terms and conditions is gonna show the full name, address, email, and phone number. So watch out for that. I was trying to do that, but yeah, it's gonna be doxing you right away. So
I'm
watch out.
already doxxed, man. Like Tevye Lawson is actually my full
Okay.
name, but I will not be forging this live. I do enjoy making cool little videos, but I like cutting out, wallet and sensitive information. So even if I do make a video, yeah, I'll be like me doing it on my own and then editing and posting it up. But yeah, I appreciate the call out and good looking out, man. But yeah, I'm fully doxxed. Like these guys know who I am, even though we've never met.
Cool. No, I don't understand, but it's gonna be the address
Oh yeah,
and the
I don't
phone
want
number
that.
too.
I don't want
So
people showing up on my
yeah,
doorstep. So definitely
and
a good call out.
yeah, I'm sorry. Going back to the worker bots, I really like the way Prez and Tevi were thinking. It's not. I mean, if you go through the different animations of let's say the 5 different robots, the 4 colors, and the very first one, they are not just different colors, but if you look at the back of the head, the original worker bot and the red one, they do like they seem like they have a telescopic handle um, on the back of the head at the top, but the other 3 do not. So it's not just like changing the color of the belly, but they must have different utilities. And yeah, I mean, one of the reasons I picked up the yellow one was the exploration tag. I thought that I was going to be able to combine my worker pod with a space pod, a loot pod, and send them out on adventures or something. So I'm really excited to see what's going to happen with this part of the ecosystem.
Yeah, man, that's a really good call out. Like the blue one has the claws, right? And you can see that the Explorer has a little bit more armor on the arms, and so like even like the little headgear is slightly different. So there's like subtle hints. Some are more subtle than others, but if you take the time and look at each bot, there's some cool little details that tells you that there's going to be different functionalities that are going to be tied to these, right? So it's not just different colors for sure, but even more so, like I love the fact that they have different style vials on them, because again, I can't get over the fact that these vials will play into the crypto dunk. So whatever, again, I like to think longer term, and you can see that there's a longer term vision here, and that speaks to me like on so many different levels. So I'm excited for these little guys.
What up, Prez?
Yeah, one of the themes that I've observed over the last year, uh, during like the Monolith Quest, during the Animus campaign, you guys might have remembered that they teased like I forget what I'd call them elemental energies. I think at some point there was like I can't remember off the top of my head, but things like the descriptions on the worker bots, like exploration, confidence, and so forth. Those kind of like yeah, I grouped those in with like the so-called elemental energies. So I'm thinking maybe there's like a tie-in to Animus, right? So like Animus creatures are not going to be like human, robot, and alien and reptile. I think they'll have like their own, yeah, maybe not even base types, but if we're to call them like say elements, say maybe this elemental thing, right? Maybe they'll be like fire type animus and ice type animus, right? So I always thought that maybe some of these drops relate to that. So if the worker bot is an explorer type, like this yellow explorer type, maybe there's like a yellow explorer type animus that you maybe have higher odds of revealing if you have like the yellow explorer type worker bot equipped to the pod, something like that. I think to the Crypto Kicks IRL, the four Crypto Kicks IRL also had like four like they call them elemental types, right? Blackout and ice and stone. These are kind of like repeating themes. So I wonder, like, is there going to be like a mechanic introduced where it's like, all right, not just what worker bot you equip to your pod might influence the egg, but maybe if you do have things like the crypto kicks in your inventory, maybe there's like an elemental aspect to that, and that also influences the elemental type of the egg. And I feel there's a few items in the collection that are kind of like riffing off of these color motifs. And maybe somehow these things can apply to the animus, something else. I'm not too sure.
What do you think, Tevi?
Yeah, no, that's actually a really good take, Prez. And I'll just go back to one quick thing that was put out by Yarlin and in the FAQs for Animus, right? And that was that, and I think even Benoit touched on this, but like they're thinking about rarity for Animus in a very different ways than what we're used to and have seen, right? It's not just number, like the lowest numbers that you have makes it super rare or certain things. It's they're taking it to a different level with this one, and the fact that we've been seeing all these different traits and elements and all, like we were talking about incubating, and we know that the eggs can be infused with different energies and features and things. And we know that, clones can influence or can be linked, I should say, um, to the eggs. And I mean, the worker bots are in space with the Wondersmith, and it's all part of the whole um, factory that they had going on and the lore. I think all this is linked, and I think that all builds out to Animus ultimately. And so I don't know how it all connects, but when they've been time and time again saying this will all connect, and they spend the time to reorganize the entire timeline to make sure that everything was now moving in order, yeah, you best believe, speculation, but again, I think it's not too far fetched to think that what Press said is on point, and that all these things connect together and play into how your animus will evolve over time. So should be pretty interesting, that's for sure.
Hit us, Prez. I'm just listening to the speculation.
I
Dove this deep.
often, yeah, sorry to cut you off, but I often reference 10KTF when I talk about Artifact. 10KTF has like this soft staking, really basic game mechanic, right? So really the way it works is like you have like a 10KTF inventory and you kind of equip it for these missions, for these battles. And like the bigger and better your inventory, the bigger better your power level for the battle is, right? And I like to think that maybe like that's kind of what Artifact can use to help tie in like a lot of the ecosystem in the near future, right? It's as simple as like introducing the eggs and saying, okay, if you soft stake all of your artifact inventory toward your egg incubation, you somehow influence the outcome of your egg, right? It can be really that simple. And if you just kind of extend that idea out, you could incorporate maybe a lot more of the artifact catalog than just eggs and space pods and clones, right? Because right now everyone's thinking, all right, the space pods kind of confirmed that they collaborate with the egg, right? You got the incubator on board. Then they introduced the idea, oh, there's also a hibernation chamber, presumably for your clone. So now you're thinking, all right, maybe the clone influences the egg if you kind of hibernate it, right? This could just be done through soft staking. But then, well, now I'm starting to think, okay, well, you can add maybe worker bots to that mix. You can add, you guys name it, the other parts of the artifact ecosystem, including dunks, maybe skin vials, these components maybe could all, like, what better way to maybe tie these things in together than with the Animus campaign? But maybe I'm getting a little too far ahead. Maybe they got some other things in mind for the big ecosystem tie-in.
I don't know, man. It doesn't seem improbable to me. I think, is it going to be exactly that? I don't know. But I think if the idea is to onboard more people with Animus, right? And again, I go back a little bit to the NVIDIA discussion they had and Chris' comment around, yeah, with Animus, we're going to be able to bring on even more people and more creators and all that stuff. It would make sense that you would want to find ways to bring more value and interest with people that maybe can't step up directly to a clone, but are getting the Animus or have some of the other assets in the ecosystem. And now, you can expand upon that. So I don't think your thoughts are too far out there, I guess, is my point. And I think that would be a really cool way to tie it all in together, add some gamification, and really do something that hasn't been done before, right? Like truly innovate on all these concepts, or existing concepts like staking and all that stuff has been done before. But how do you differentiate your product from others? This might be one way to do it, and fully utilize the breadth of the ecosystem to do that.
Go ahead, Perez. I'm listening to the speculation.
I
Like I
think
said before.
I think this is something they've long been working toward. I think they pretty much said it outright that like they have like a long-term vision in mind, and it's one that's going to help tie the whole ecosystem together. I think a lot of people, I notice even like on the days like this, especially, not to berate anybody, but I do see like, I don't want to even call it FUD, all right? People rightfully bring up that like, oh man, you're hitting us for the suitcase. What do these worker bots even do? Not even worker bots. When are the dunks going to work? When is this going to work? And so a lot of people in the days like this, they're like, okay, this ecosystem is huge. It is hard to kind of wrap our heads around. And what is like the future utility, right? And they're kind of obviously playing very quiet on this front, probably for good reason. But they've also always kind of hinted that they want to tie all these things in together. So I think people need to just be kind of patient. It's probably not a bad idea to collect these things on the lows. And I don't know. I at least for me personally, I have faith in Artifact that they genuinely do want to tie a lot of the ecosystem in together. Now, is it going to be in the next like year or two with like the Animus campaign, the way I'm kind of like speculating on here? Maybe not. Maybe we will need like a bunch more years for like a more full-fledged metaverse or something else to come along that'll actually be able to tie in the wider catalog of Artifact goodies. So maybe we are getting a little ahead of ourselves here. But for everybody out there who's like, oh man, when's this thing going to work? And when's the utility? When are they going to fill in the blanks on space pods and what all the other things do? I just say be patient. I'm sure that stuff's being worked on. And for all we know, it might be a very grand plan that like when they finally really tie it all in together, you're gonna be like, whoa, I can't believe they were working toward this entire time. This is crazy. I'm so glad I stayed patient and let them cook while we build this stuff out. So yeah, there might be a crazy time that involves partners like Nvidia and who knows how many others, maybe Sony, to come together and put everything in focus.
Yeah, I mean, all I gotta say is, like the deeper people dive in and actually, I know that everybody doesn't have like all the time in the world to go and listen to all the interviews and all these different things. But if you do, or you spend more time in, I guess, Bad Take or any of the other spaces, conspiracy, where we talk about all this stuff, or even like today, right now, where we're chatting it up, there's hints, and some are subtle, some are less subtle, out there, but it does speak to that longer term vision, right? And the acknowledgement that maybe they dropped too much too fast last year, and it's going to take a little bit of time to tie it all together. Um, the one space I would point to, I think that would help people. If you go back and you listen to the creator space with Yarlin, who's behind the space pods, loot pod, that whole ecosystem, and listen to how he thinks about it, the ecosystem, what they're working towards. There's some really good gems in there, right? That speak to what Prez was just talking about, the longer term vision, and ultimately only pick up what's truly of interest to you, right? Like, I'm not gonna lie, like I sit here and sometimes I have to like tell myself I don't need everything, like I don't need all the side quests. It's really hard to resist, right? But you know the fact that it's so massive, it allows you to kind of follow your own path, whether you're a main story guy or you like the side quests only or whatever it might be. But just I guess take your time, be patient, and realize that this is like, if there's ever a project that's going to be here like super long term, this is it, right? And which means that it also, things do take longer to pan out. But we've seen it time and time again. When it does hit, it hits hard. So should be fun. Like, I'm even more bullish on Animus now because I feel like that's the way to tie it all together. Um, and yeah,
I made a little graph of the entries. I pinned it on top. So like, if you share it to your friends and they actually want to join Artifact, that's the way I join with the crypto kicks. And then,
All right. Well, who else wants to chime in on the juiciest Rimowa speculation you might have today?
You might be Rug Prez. Kane was.
Oh dear. Okay, I'm gonna fall back.
I know the awkward silence probably was weird, but he was going over his chart at the top. Go ahead, Kane.
I was just gonna say it's a good place for entry. Like I see Zach down there. You're listening. If you want to join Artifact, you could just get some crypto dunks or, any. These are all like lower point entries that look much cheaper than, let's say, a clone.
Oh shit! Let me get Prez back up here. One time, I was getting Rupsy up, and my thumb slipped, and I booted him from the space, like banned him from the space, and he couldn't join again until the next one. So he was in the chat going, "Must be nice just sitting in spaces while I'm banned." And I almost clicked block Prez. There's a bunch of options when you when you select somebody to come up.
You can just click the two little people and go all the way to the end and unremove them next time.
Yeah, no, I didn't know that, Rupsy. I'm sorry.
I like how Compound always tries to play this one off. I don't think it was a mistake. I feel like he was in one of those days. He was just not having a good day that night and just booted you. So whatever he says, don't believe him. And I feel especially bad.
Could you imagine booting?
I feel like I'm gonna get
Could you
banned.
imagine booting Rupsy? The nicest person in our community? You're gonna boot Rupsy? Are you kidding me?
No, it happens to everyone. Like what happened is there was probably a co-host, and when you guys both try to click the button at the same time, one of you guys get delayed and then you guys boot it. I've done it multiple times before.
Nah, I'm just giving Compound a hard time. I know it wasn't on purpose, but it's fun to give him a hard time over that one because we were all sitting there. I'm like, what the hell happened? Like, why did you do that to Rupsy of all people? It's like, why?
Of all people. Yo, Cram, what's good?
All right, quick question for you guys, because I know you guys see all the BRC 20s and the ordinal stuff kind of happening. It seems like it's might be the new meta, or I don't know. It doesn't seem like it's going anywhere though. How would you guys feel if Artifact actually created something on ordinals, like a collection? Like, I know we have a lot of collections within Artifact already, Artifact and CloneX, but how would you guys feel about being on the Bitcoin network?
No.
Is that all you guys described?
I think them previously working with Luxo. I just dab into Luxo recently, and I saw what they're creating there. They're creating something amazing there, I feel like, and it's gonna help onboard a lot of people. I can't go through the full details because I don't know much, and I can't give you the facts. Alts know a lot more than I do, so I'm pretty sure there's people in here that know a lot more as well.
Cram, I don't think I would have an issue with it. I just have never seen Artifact like quickly jump on a meta just to jump on a meta. Like they kind of move more calculated than like, oh shit, Ordinals is popping. Let's throw a bunch of clones on Bitcoin and sell Bitcoin clones. Like they don't move. You know, they're a part of Nike now. There's like things that have to happen for shit to get dropped and actual moves to make, which makes them be more calculated, right? So I don't know if they'll jump on the meta while it's here, and I don't know how long the meta will last, but it looks like it's something that is overall good for the space, right? Because now digital collectibles are becoming more than just an Ethereum thing and a Solana thing and a Tezos thing. We got one of the OG chain starting to do it too, which is actually validating what we've been doing here for years now. These OG Bitcoin chain and the OG Bitcoiners are saying, okay, there's some value there. Like there's digital collectibles on chain. We see the value. That makes what we're doing here more valuable in general. That's like my take on it. He got an orange heart too. Let's go,
Bro,
Cram.
BRC 20s, baby, was good. Bitcoin. All right. No, I mean, again, Bitcoin is like low key the reason why we're all here, right? Everything stemmed from Bitcoin, and eventually Ethereum came, and all the layer twos and oracles, right? But Bitcoin is the OG. So the fact that you can build on it like this now, I think a lot of people are that's good, buddy. That's good. I think a lot of people are excited that they can actually build on the OG. I don't know. I just wanted to get I'm actually curious, Dre's perspective. How do you feel? How would you feel if Artifact or CloneX created a collection on ordinals?
First of all, GM. I don't know, man. I don't think it really wouldn't make that big of a deal to me. I'm not the ETH maxi or purist where I'm like, oh, this is the chain that we started on. This is the chain we're going to finish on. Like, it don't, whatever works out for the greater good is good for me. So if it works out to be better on this chain than it does to be on ETH, then that's the play, But it really don't matter to me. But I agree with what Compound saying. I think that's a good point. The fact that everything is so calculated now even more, because I know they was calculated before, but having Nike in the mix, everything is that much more of a adventure to get done or get complete. So I don't know if I necessarily think that they would jump into that either, but if they did, so be it. It is what it is. And I guess we riding with orange hearts.
Even even like just like a small collection, because like look at Yuga, they did the we looked at, I forgot what that shit's called, like the dots or whatever. I can't remember, but it was a very small collection. We're talking like 300-400 pieces, not something that's going to completely dilute your whole ecosystem or anything like that. But like, as far as like awareness, I feel like being on Bitcoin is going to drive more eyes to CloneX and Artifact and what they're doing, right? I think digital collectibles should be like like chain agnostic. It should not matter what chain you're on. You can have a collection on Poly, one on ETH, one on Ordinals. I don't think it really should matter. At the end of the day, we're all here for, the tech, which is the decentralization and all of that, and that happens across chains. It's not just on ETH. So I'm just, just curious. I see Kevy has his hand up.
Wait, before Tevy go into it, because I know Tevy
No,
gonna
I'm not
go when
gonna
he
go
go.
long, man. Don't worry. But go ahead.
All right, go
No,
ahead.
you go. You go.
Well, look, I'm wondering what would the difference be? Because we had these conversations about ordinance and BRC20s a couple weeks ago before it really started taking off, and people started doing the orange representation and all of the above. So what's the difference? I think, and I said this before, I think it's just another way to create some type of cash grab where it's like, oh, we can do the same thing that we did here on Ethereum, but now we can do it on Bitcoin. So that's the hype thing to do. So it just seemed like it's another hype train to create some more type of revenue or liquidity. So what will be the point of it besides that?
Again, like I said, it's awareness, right? There's a lot of people on Bitcoin, like Bitcoin maxis, that don't really believe in other chains. They only believe in Bitcoin, right? Because it's the OG.
Oh man,
So
that sounds
with
messy.
yeah, it can
I
sound
just think
however
about
you
these
want it
guys
to
that
sound, but there's a
I mean,
lot of money on the Bitcoin side. Is basically the
yeah,
point.
I mean that's why I'm saying it's messy because they have so much Bitcoin that like something like in Ethereum that happens and they lose their account, then what?
A lot of people said that even though there's liquidity in the Bitcoin, a lot of people see it more as like an asset, and they're not going to like lose it into JPEGs. It's like a holding value kind of thing.
Well, a lot of the BRC20 conversations that I've had or heard people having was about putting art and not just JPEGs, but different forms of art on different formats of art on Bitcoin and BRC20s. So to me, it's just another way. They just rerunning exactly what has happened these last couple of years on Ethereum. They're now, and I agree, it's Bitcoin maxis for people who don't necessarily want to mess with any of the chain. So it's like they're getting their chance to jump in. But in the end of the scheme of the grand grand scheme of things, I feel like it's still just trying to grab cash. You know what I'm saying? But who knows?
Yeah, it's very possible that this next meta could be. I mean, just like most metas, people are trying to catch a bag on it. Like they want to make some crazy gains. So obviously, you get in early, you make a lot of potential upside. But I mean, I don't think like when I look at like BRC20s, I don't look at it as like they're doing the same thing. It feels different. Like BRC20s is like, all right, buddy, let me put you down. God damn, I'm kind of out of shape, Drake. We doing this push up challenge, dude. I gotta get back in.
Yeah, no, for
I'm
sure.
just
We
holding the
definitely
baby, bro. This is a problem.
for
But
sure.
no, but I was gonna say BRC20 is what I found because I've been dabbling with it probably the last 4 or 5 days, and it's been pretty exciting. I got into OXBT like really, really early, and that thing is like ran up like insane. Actually, I haven't looked at it today. It could be at zero now, but basically BRC20s is kind of like NFTs and tokens kind of in like mixed in. So what I mean is like, let's say you wait, I'm talking. Hold on. That's fine. That's fine. Just put it in there. Oh man, god damn. This is why I'm gonna be popping on spaces, guys, man. Yeah, I'm always in this, always. Like 100% of the time I work from home. My wife is like, hey, can you watch the kids? And we just constantly trading off. So but damn, man. All right. I'm trying to talk about BRC20s and how they're like different. And so it's like when you purchase BRC20s, it's almost like you're purchasing an NFT. It's very similar to like, hey, I'm looking at the floor price. I want to buy this one, da da da. But then you can break it down into like different quantities. So let's just say, for example, you buy like 5,000 OXBT. That's the lot that you bought. You could then sell them in 500 piece increments, right? But you can't break an NFT down, but you can break down a BRC20. So I think, did you eat my sausage? What the? Hold on, y'all. Hold on. This boy then just took my sausage and ate it. Hold on. What's this?
That's when it gets
Dude,
real, and when the baby takes advantage of you talking on spaces to steal your food. You messed up.
I'll tell you, right now, is if Artifact did anything on ordinals, it would be flooded on the timeline as a cash grab, in the same way that Yuga ordinals and the DeGods, Bitcoin DeGods were fudded slightly about being a cash grab. Artifact would get a 10x FUD, right? Because they don't need the money, and people look at it that way. I think until there's like a full reason, there's like innovative technology that can be done and change the way that we operate, I don't think it'll even be looked at just for the sake of like avoiding FUD, right? Because um, everything, I think I would prefer that the time and effort be spent into gasless forging or contracts that maybe pay for forging costs or things like that, or even layer two scaling solutions that could help with our like forging costs and shit like that. I'd prefer time be put into that, because as we get into a bull market, gas is getting crazy expensive and it's almost making the chain unusable. So unless Bitcoin or ordinals can fix stuff like that, I don't know if a lot of time or effort will be put into it, because Artifact frankly doesn't need to uh, drop a collection on ordinals or Bitcoin, especially for on a fundraising front. And I don't think they need. I mean, I see why Yuga did it to kind of just put their name on there. Look, we got something on chain. We've secured our little part of history. But I don't know, man. I don't even think it's on their radar, to be honest, in my opinion.
If it's not about the innovation, I would say it's not. I mean, I would guess because who knows what they got on the back end. But I agree with you more, and that it seems like that's more the focus anyway, because there were people talking about utilizing Luxor, and Sam putting out tweets saying that he'll look into it as long as it makes the experience better. Then that's what it's about, and I agree with that too. I think Yuga and Frank, like no shot against either one. I think they were. It's about staying with the hype. You know what I'm saying? And certain
Well,
projects
Dre,
have
look,
to,
let
certain
me
don't.
pop in there right there, dude. Look, I don't think it's just hype. I think some of this is like we don't know what this is gonna turn into. You talked about like uh kind of innovation. We don't know what type of innovation is gonna happen on Bitcoin right now. Like it's like in infancy stages. So it's kind of like just staying up with the times is not just hype per se, right? There's not a whole lot of hype in a bear market, as you guys can see. Like what's hyped up? Like almost nothing's hyped, right? No matter what project, you can drop something heavy metal, oh, it doesn't go viral, whatever. It's not going to go viral. It's a bear market. Everyone's leaving. People are leaving every week, every month. It's getting worse and worse right now. So that's just the reality. The underlying crypto market is not doing that well for people to be like, oh, yeah, hell yeah, let's stay here. There is no hype, right? But again, my thing is, it's yeah, it's so early to even know, right? When it's popping, let's say they do some like groundbreaking innovation in a year or two on Bitcoin. It's like, well, the people who jumped on it in the infancy stages will probably see more exposure for some of their underlying projects, just because again, it's awareness, it's visibility. It's important to be out there. Remember, like Kirill talks about this all the time, like clone visibility, clone visibility. Imagine us being on multiple chains. That's. And now I'm not saying Nike, hey, do this, right? But I'm just saying, like, think of you got to have different perspectives out there. Like, we can just build on one chain, but if this chain becomes so bad and like it's unusable, we just talked about gas. Like, gas gets stupid. Like, if sharding doesn't happen on ETH, then like ETH in the next bull run is going to be so unusable. It's going to be like, hey, just look at it, just stare at it. Don't interact. So we're going to have to leverage different chains, different technologies. That's all I'm coming from. I was just trying to get people's like thoughts. I know sometimes, the when we're in a project, like into like a community, we're really engrossed in that. Like I'm really into like Artifact and Yuga. That's it though. The BRC20 stuff kind of just came up and it kind of piqued my interest a little bit. I'm like, hey, I pay attention to sentiment, and the sentiment has been shifting in this direction. So I'm like, hey, what's going on? What's going on? And I'm not like all in, like, hey, BRC20s, I'm selling my eight, like, let's go. Not quite, but I do think there's something going on there that maybe should be kind of looked into. But yeah, I digress.
No, I feel that. I feel that. When I say hype, I don't mean like. Well, I guess to explain what I meant, it's always some new artist, it's always some new rapper, it's always some new singer, it's always some new actress, it's always some new something that garners attention because it's new. And it's like, oh, we've looked at all of these things before. Look at this over here. It's new, it's exciting, let's jump into it. And certain people give all of their energy or a lot of their energy into it just because of the newness behind it. And that's what I mean about hype. Like, I agree with what you're saying, and it makes sense to diversify. You know, you never know what can happen from it, and I get that. So, yeah, but at the same time, as long as it makes sense, that's all that matters. I would say, as long as it makes sense to even jump into it, because not everything that comes in your direction is worth your attention, in my opinion. But prayers, I see you got your hand up, bro. I don't want to keep talking over you. Sorry, Tavi, I should have let you go.
Yeah, Cram, I feel what you're saying. There's definitely like a fundamentally a need to eventually scale Ethereum or leave Ethereum for a more scalable solution. That is definitely apparent. But you're going to need like a way bigger proposition than Bitcoin, I think, for that. Like, because Bitcoin doesn't necessarily scale that well either. It's not necessarily suitable for moving all the operations to there. Maybe in the future, maybe in some other way in the future. But ultimately, I think we're all like, it's gonna be a huge proposition to kick anybody off of Ethereum and like get you to port things, even begin start porting assets over to another chain. I think we're going to be on Ethereum, and most people probably would not want to substitute Ethereum for another chain or move, some of their beloved NFTs to another chain. I really do think Ethereum is where it's at, even with the high fees, and we're probably going to deal with the high fees for years and years to come before that's solved, whether it's for another chain or scaling solution. But that's the thing with Bitcoin as well is I think fundamentally it's a different culture. Bitcoin is this sort of store of value, and I think a lot of this BRC stuff, the ordinal stuff, is looked at skeptically. I think a lot of Bitcoin maxis don't really want to see Bitcoin, these additional like features kind of offered. Like, I think they're not opposed to the innovation, but I think people are just viewing this very skeptically. Bitcoin maxis, especially, they've seen what happened with Ethereum. Ethereum, like, largely just been a casino for like shitcoins and NFTs spawned on there. Like, probably the biggest mistake you could have made as an OG Ethereum holder is wasting your bags on probably a lot of worthless, most coins, most NFTs have like underperformed Ethereum. So I think there's a fundamentally different culture with Bitcoin. I think they've seen what happened to Ethereum and they're skeptical of it. I know I am. I think the biggest mistake you could make is like, maybe wasting your Bitcoin trying to gamble on this next ordinals hype come up. I just don't think it's the right solution. I'm not totally against it though. I'm open to these ideas, but ultimately, if Artifact is going to drop like a new collection or a new item, I don't know. I want to see that come to my Ethereum wallet. I want to see it show up in my artifact.com inventory without like, too many technical hurdles of connecting additional wallets. I just don't think that's needed complexity. And I also agree with Compound, but he was saying that like, this is going to be viewed as a cash grab. And in Artifact's case, even more so. So I say big no all around to exploring the Bitcoin idea. But hey, man, give it some time, some more innovation. We'll see how it pans out. I don't want to say a hard no to it, but at the moment, no.
Definitely appreciate that take, Prez. Let's go to Teddy, see what he has to say.
Yeah, man.
Having
Can you guys hear me? Yeah,
yes.
cool. Yeah, I think actually a lot of the points that I was going to make were already made. Um, I would say the only thing I would really add to what's been said at this point is I think there's better ways to scale um, and address the gas fees and all those concerns, whether it's, I know nothing about Luxo, but that's something that people keep talking about. What I will say though is I think that's things like Polygon comes to mind, right? A lot of the Fortune 500 companies are utilizing Polygon to scaling. I mean, that's Swoosh. That's exactly what it is. It's on Polygon. So there's definitely ways to address the concerns that exist today. I would say I 100% agree with if anywhere in the foreseeable future I think Artifact was to drop something on Bitcoin, the ordinal route, I think people would 100% call it out as a cash grab, because
Tevi, I think there's a way to go about it. Maybe like a like a one of one art kind of thing where
well, let me
it's
finish.
like
Let
really
me
really
finish describing.
valuable.
I'm getting there. So, but what I agree. So, like where I was going with this ultimately is, I think there is a group of collectors out there that do value scarcity, that do value something that's different. And so for those people, if it was dropped in a small enough quantity, they provided the context behind it and everything, I think it would do well. But it's not something where I would say, hey, move all the clones over, create a duplicate collection or a 10,000 collection or anything like that on the chain. I think if they did a small number, again, timed it right, um, it could work out. But I think it would require us being kind of past this current arc that we're in right now with tying everything together, delivering everything that's been worked on so far to date, and then maybe right you could go down that path. So not necessarily capturing the hype that's behind it right now, but more being more calculated around it. So I think everything ultimately will be interoperable anyways. So regardless of what chain it's on, it will all connect and be moved. I just don't think like now would be the time to do it. That's my take.
Okay, let me ask you a question. If they did even drop something small numbers for just the scarcity aspect of it, what would be the point of that besides a cash grab? Like what's the point of it besides I mean even with Yuga and Frank did, what was the point
Yeah,
behind
I
that?
mean that's like I said, I don't disagree. I think it would be seen 100% as a cash grab, but it's all about how you present it, right? I think the majority of the ecosystem and people would be like, yeah, it's kind of a cash grab. But if it was targeted as like if people, like if artifact collectors came out and say, hey, we want this, like we would appreciate something like that. If it came from like a group of people that were interested in it and not just artifact dropping like, hey, guess what? We have this now too. Like if it came out that way, I think it would not be received well. I think if there was like a concerted effort to say, hey, we would like to see this happen or whatnot. If it kind of came from the community, from the voice of the customer, then I think it would work. But at that point, again, it would have to be like a small collection, right? And you're trying to um, cater to the top tier whales and collectors or whatnot that kind of would maybe want that stuff. That's kind of what I'm getting at. But yeah, if you ask me personally, I would say yeah, I mean, even the Yuga stuff, I think it was cool from the standpoint that it gave it was like a piece of history and all that stuff. But ultimately, it's like yeah, cash grab, and I don't even like using that term, but it was definitely uh, trying to put their stamp on it, make some money in the process, and cater to a certain group of collectors.
Wait, even if you guys knew that like building say even a small collection of 500 pieces on Bitcoin would um, expand our ecosystem, like in terms of just the community, you guys would still be against it because that's kind of
Oh,
I look at it as a way of like marketing. It's
I,
marketing on a different
yeah, I'm
point.
not a
And it sounds like you guys are
no, Krem.
completely
I
against
am
like
not.
yeah. Go
It
ahead.
would
Krem,
be
I am
all
not
ETH
against it.
buyers buying Bitcoin. It would be all the same
Yeah.
community. It would all just be the same community going over there to
I
buy.
totally disagree with
No,
that
I think it
statement,
would address.
Compound, because there's completely different
Yes.
group of people on Bitcoin,
Yep.
dude. And I've noticed this recently just because I fell down this ordinal the Bitcoin kind of rabbit hole, and I'm like, wait, there's a whole nother world.
Yeah.
I've been in this world over here for 2 years. I have not seen all these Bitcoin maxis. I haven't, to be honest.
Yeah. The only thing, and I know
So
we
Oh,
have
it is
hands.
a different.
Yeah. Sorry. I just
Yeah,
want
go
to
ahead.
say quick. Yeah. I don't disagree with you, and I'm gonna say it personally. I'm not against it. Like if they dropped it, they drop it. It is what it is. I don't think they will though, for all the reasons that we kind of named. Will it expand the ecosystem a little bit? Yeah, but it's such a small piece of people at this point that it's probably not even worth it, right? Like the headaches that come with it, I don't think it's worth it. Um, but would it change like how I approach the collection, what I do? No. And would I be in uproar? Probably, definitely not. But I know some people will view it that way and will FUD it. So there's that.
We got FUD fighters in BTC now, so it's all good. Bad Take Crew, so we're good, baby. Bring the FUD. We got you. As soon as you hit the timeline, we're gonna shred you up to pieces. So bring it. All right, guys. Let's get to the hands though. Yeah, let's
What's
go
up,
to.
Brett?
Go ahead. I'm trying to take over.
You know what, Cram I think makes a reasonable case here. In the limited drop, um, there you could view it merely as like maybe not a marketing exercise, but maybe like a technology exercise, where it's like Artifact demonstrates that like not only is it competent at dropping like new products, new contracts on Ethereum, but they can also innovate and do these things on Bitcoin. So like maybe in that kind of marketing angle to it, you could say that like, yeah, 500-ish item or some rare drop is justified, and it actually makes some kind of like marketing sense or branding sense. And you're right, you might even attract new people. In fact, you could make like a case where there are maybe new time NFT buyers who will really have no exposure to Ethereum or Ethereum NFTs or to basically to the existing NFT landscape, but they're just getting into this for the first time on Bitcoin. And here comes Artifact, which is like a reputable brand, drops its like Bitcoin based NFT collection. That could have an appeal and actually attract new buyers, new people. And in some ways, I think it even like maybe bolsters some credibility. I agree it's going to be seen mostly as a cash grab, and that's kind of why I'm averse to it. But I do think there's a potential here where, yeah, you flex your stuff as like a leading Web3 company that can also drop things on other chains and attract maybe whole new buyers over there as well at the same time. But I'm still kind of overall skeptical to the idea, but not totally against it based on what Pram is proposition.
I agree. This could be something that happens in the future. I prefer the time and resources be focused on maybe tying together the crypto dunks and getting back on the monolith path. There's just a lot of stuff in the ecosystem that has loose ends. But Cram, as that technology kind of unravels and unfolds, like no way, I'm never against kind of expanding the ecosystem. I just don't. I like so others have said, it's definitely not the time. There's so many loose ends that need to be tied up for me on ETH and here in this ecosystem currently. What's up, Anya? GM or GA.
GM, GA, GN, wherever you are. So I have two questions to pose then about this whole ordinal discussion, and that is like, what is the use case outside of it being a very popular thing right at the moment? Like, what are the benefits here outside of it being like we're jumping on a hype train and contributing, or I guess connecting our ecosystem to something that is really popular, and what are some of the from what we know so far, because personally I'm massively skeptical about this whole ordinals like situation. What are the future, what's the path forward for that? Like, what does that look like going forward?
And Anya, I think that's a really good question. I've been asking this question in a lot of like ordinal spaces recently, and no one can really tell you what's going to happen in the future, right? Just like in 2021, we couldn't have told you how like the NFT space would have blown up. We can't really say, right? But I think as a leading Web three project, kind of somewhat leading the space, like getting on Bitcoin, it's like it's Bitcoin again. It's. I know I can see how a lot of people look at it as just straight hype, but I'm not, because Bitcoin is the original. So I keep looking at it from that perspective, and how it's just going to attract new buyers, new communities. A lot of these Bitcoin maxis have like 100 Bitcoin, 500 Bitcoin. If they get into an artifact, I'm just say hypothetically speaking, artifact drops something on ordinals, and then they're like, you know what, this artifact stuff looks kind of cool. I'm gonna go ahead and convert 2 Bitcoin to ETH. That's nothing for me. Again, it's just constantly expanding your brand across chain, right? If you want to be number one, you have to do that. You have to be everywhere. You can't just be in one spot. You can't like corner yourself and say, hey, we're just going to do this. It's like, why? I feel like you're hurting yourself. But I understand like Nike, Artifact, different. They're a different beast. We don't have a whole lot of projects like that in this space right now where they have to like kind of adhere to Nike or like a really large Web2 brand. A lot of people don't have that. They have the freedom to kind of move like, oh, let's do this, let's do that. And I feel like if Artifact was like, you know what, Nike, we want to create a small collection on Bitcoin because it's Bitcoin, the sovereigns or the provenance and everything that comes with that. Oh, wait, stop. Wait.
I know.
Sorry, guys. Baby is trying to get in the toilet. Got him.
I know Bitcoin is the largest chain, but currently it isn't there more activity on Solana and Polygon NFTs? So by that logic, we would need Artifact to drop collections on every chain to be fully Web3, and really touch them all. I do think in the future we'll be omni-chain though, like it won't matter. We're still just so early, but
Yeah, let me say this. I think honestly, what Cram is saying about getting the attention from the maxis, right? They carry a lot of firepower because they got a lot of, gas. They got a lot of cash. They got a lot of liquidity. I get that, but at the same time, it seems like, from my perspective, that Artifact isn't necessarily even just aiming to be like a Web3 XYZ, Web3 period. Like they're looking to take this and convert it over to everything that's happening in Web 2 and so on and so
Are
forth.
all you guys done? Y'all dressed? Y'all
Like they I don't even think that's, in my opinion, doesn't look like that's their aim. It doesn't look like that's the point of all of this. I would say for other projects we can see that's the point of it all. That's why they make those choices and execute the way that they execute. But if you pay attention to how Artifact is even executing, it's such of an integration into the Web 2 realm. They're looking to take all of that technological advancement that comes with being on blockchain and growing in this space and integrating it into the day-to-day life. So like Compound just said, if they do something, I would think it would be towards tying up all of the loose ends that have been created on this chain before jumping into a next chain, because that would just definitely increase the FUD. People got mad about some lace locks, like the CloneX mint vials on the laces. They pissed about that. They definitely gonna be upset about some ordinals, and it doesn't make sense. But I can understand the point.
let's go to Kiro.
Yeah,
Kiro, what's good?
so I'm buying like luxury clothing from Artifact, and I don't see the problem with them like minting something on the luxury chain. If you don't want to buy it, don't buy it. Like, I think people forget that they don't have to do anything. They literally don't have to interact with something if they don't want to. Like, I could have gone and like claimed Genesis kicks for my other clones and stuff like that. I just didn't do it because like I didn't want to. Like, it's not like they're gonna like change my metadata on my clone because I didn't. Like, there's none of that going on. Like, people are out here like making issues out of molehills and stuff, when they should probably just like keep calm and just like realize that Artifact's gonna do what Artifact's gonna do. They have their game plan. You can have yours. That doesn't mean that we didn't invest in the company. We're not seed round investors. Okay, we have no board seats. We're holding tokens that we enjoy and art that we like. That's like the beginning and end of it to me. And like whether or not we decide to mint something is up to us completely, right? Like if they come out with like a ordinal and let's say it's attached to some luxury fragrance or something, I'm fucking minting. I don't give a shit what anyone has to say. They can cry and complain on the timeline all they like. They don't pay my bills. They definitely don't pay the salaries of the people that work at Artifact, so they have no control over what goes on at Artifact. And I think that's something that's important for people to realize. It's just like the whole Moonbirds thing that's going on right now. Like, people want to complain and shit about that. I really don't give a shit about it because it's like, it doesn't affect me. I sold my Moonbird. I told Cass what I was going to do. I said, I'm not holding this shit no more. They can keep their fucking CCO bullshit. I'd rather be in a locked-in ecosystem, kind of like Apple, where I know the quality of my product is always going to be secure. They're going to have celebrity endorsements, so I can put on a pair of shoes and people will be like, oh shit, those are the same shoes that LeBron wore. I really don't care what people's negative opinions are anymore, because all negativity does is drag you into depression. And I've been there for so long that I'm not going back anymore. People want to try and FUD Artifact, I'll just FUD them until they leave Twitter. I don't care.
I feel like that needs to be clipped and put on a T-shirt or something. Can we have a bad take T-shirt with that saying on it?
They want a FUD Artifact? I'll just FUD them. No, I love
Until they
Kiro's
leave.
takes. Always different. He's always got different perspective, and he's always got like a blunt way of saying like, "Stay in your lane," and I don't give a fuck what people do. I'm gonna do me. Appreciate you, Kiro. Prez or TJ? I don't know who had the hand up first. Do y'all remember?
Go TJ. Go TJ.
TJ, what's good, bro?
No,
GA.
I actually, Kiro covered a lot of the shit that I was going to say. He's right on point. You don't have to fucking do anything. I mean, I do see a benefit to bringing out some BRC stuff or ordinals or whatever. Just because, I mean, that's kind of like the new meta. So whether it's here to stay or not, nobody even freaking knows yet. Maybe it would just be a fly-by-night thing, and then it's just like over and nobody really cares. But at the same time, if that's going to bring over some Bitcoin people and just exposes them to our ecosystem, then that's fucking dope. That just gives us one extra option to onboard new people. And these are people with significant amounts of dough. So, you know, if they get on board from that, they're going to want the OG stuff. They're going to want the monolith. They're going to want the fucking real clones, you know, they're going to want all that stuff. So I don't think it's like a full negative. Of course, there's going to be people talking shit on the timeline that it's cash grab and people in Discord are going to FUD and all that. That's to be expected. But who gives a shit? Let them do what they want. Like, you don't have to fucking buy any of this stuff. Like, I didn't buy any of the Rimowa stuff. Actually, speaking of Rimowa, I do have a question because I did buy a worker bot off secondary. Does anyone know the OG worker bots that we minted or that were bought before the Forge event, the suitcase? They're not equipped with a skin vial of any sort, and they seem to still be in the old collection. Are those bots ever going to get like an ID or like a vial of some sort? Does anyone know the answer to that?
My speculation is that it'll be the skin vial, right? That's from the monolith. Is that not the case?
Well, the base worker bot, the first one, does have a skin vial on its back. That one is more of a gray tint to it, which is different, obviously, than the new ones that we got, right, with the case forging. So I don't know ultimately what it will do because no one has said that yet. Speculation for me is simply that the worker bots, the one from the case forging, do have different names, and so I think they'll do something different tied to the clones themselves and where we are going. But again, that's all speculation. But yeah, the vial on the back of each worker bot has a vial on its back, and they're all different. And you can see that if you watch the animation from the original worker bots and the new ones, they all have a vial on their back.
No, yeah, I see that now for sure. Except it doesn't specify the ID or some sort of an environment. It just doesn't even have that property on for the old ones. So it's kind of interesting what they're going to do with that.
Yeah, the old one doesn't have.
I guess nobody really has the answer.
No.
Yeah, we don't really know yet.
Yeah, the old one doesn't.
Shout out to Tevi listening to Thriller in the middle of.
Hey, it's the music in the gym. You know, it is what it is. We like it.
I feel you, man.
I was gonna say I could give some to answer TJ's question real quick. The rarity system's kind of basically set up via this vials that you're seeing, obviously, and so it's also playing into what Artifact has done in the past with the vial system and how that all can tie in together is one of those things where it's part of the things that Artifact likes to do, where creates different ways these parts of the ecosystems could potentially link back in the future. But yeah, if you're looking at the ones from the previous contract, they're gonna stay on that one because they're just the ERC 1155. But yeah, how that'll change is to be decided if it does. So for now, you'll have some rare 3D files and things like that.
That was very vaguely specific. I loved it.
What's good, Prez?
All right, I'll give you my take on the worker bot. So the base bot you mentioned, when you look at its traits on OpenSea, it has a trait called skin vial. It looks like a skin vial, and it looks like you'll be able to equip one of those Dunk Genesis style skin vials to this worker bot in the future. Now you have these new bots that came out with the Rimowa cases today. They look like they have like a skin vial already equipped. Now I'm assuming the skin vial kind of relates to this elemental thing, or like the green. There's the explorer. So there's like the explorer type. There's the mimic type. I don't get the impression that these are like a skin vial slot. Like you get to remove the skin vial later and go put it into something else. To me, this is kind of like this bot has got this skin vial officially locked in, and there's not really any swapping that's going to take place in the future on these new bots. But they're like rare examples with like, I guess, these very limited vials, like kind of permanently equipped with those. Whereas the old bots, these are the ones that you'll actually be able to swap vials on and maybe even do like the evolution thing. I don't know how many people have seen the original like Dunk Genesis trailer. They teased evolutions. When you look at their traits, they're described as like evolutionary states. So I think what you might see is that Rimowas go on to have like second generation and third generation Rimowa worker bots that like evolve based on like the skin vial system evolution thing that they eventually going to introduce. So I think that like I view the new, so in summary, I view the new worker bots as more of like one-of-one collectibles. I don't know how much flexibility they're going to have in the future, whereas the base worker bots to me might actually participate more in the evolution system the way that the dunks were teased to participate in evolution, if that makes sense.
Seem like these new worker box have their vials like locked in almost.
Yep. That's kind of the vibe I get. Anybody else get that vibe from us, or do you guys think these vials are going to be able to be withdrawn from these things?
Yeah, I'm not sure. They do kind of look locked in, but the original ones could maybe be altered or different vials added to them. Let's say what's up to Jace, man. We got Jace here, our friend from across the pond, our UK friend. Good evening.
Hey man, I just was listening to all this ordinal stuff while somebody in a different community, because of ordinals, dumped a whole bunch of grails that I've been wanting for nothing. And so I'm pumped on ordinals right now. They're so pumped on ordinals that they're like, no man, ETH is dead. I'm out. This project's never going to go anywhere on ETH. I was like, hey man, I'll offer you this and this and this for that, that, that. And they're like, done. It's like stoked. So yeah, man, I'm happy on that. I'm not gonna comment further on that stuff because I need to see it play out more. But I don't know. I forged both my luggage. I'm checking out my little worker bots and their different traits on their. I don't know. I'm just checking stuff out. I got my luggage ready and getting ready to ship to me out here in Scotland. I'm in a good place.
Some people are. No, I'm not even gonna. How many luggages did you get?
2. One for the wifey, one for me.
You
She
already
got the
forged
red
them?
one, and I got the, what was that one? Confidence, and I got exploration.
You know, I was actually on my morning walk. Congrats, Jace, by the way. I'm laughing because I was on my morning walk today with my wife, and I'm like, yeah, excited. Today's Forge Day and everything. And she's like, oh, so you did get the case? I'm like, yeah, I did. She's like, how much was that? I'm like, oh, one something ETH. She's like, no, in dollars. And so I told her. She was like, what? I'm like, I'm like, it's not that bad. She's like, yeah, it is. I'm like, look, I've been using the same suitcase for 10 years now. She's like, yeah, the one you stole from me. So this is my suitcase now. I'm like, oh, snap.
Knew it. There it is. All of a sudden.
I'm like, oh, we went from like, this is a lot to now it's yours. So, I mean, that's kind of where we are. I probably should have bought two. But I guess wifey and I will be sharing a case.
I tried that strategy to run it by my wife the same way. Like, yeah, we should get this. It'd be dope. Da 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 da. Carry it. Da da da. And she asked me the same question. How much is it? It's like, oh man, just one each. One? Nothing. She's like, no. How much is it for real? I'm like, you know. Told her, shut it down. Nope. All right. let's not worry about it.
So that's why.
But honey, it comes with a little picture of a robot.
She hasn't seen the robot yet.
That's hilarious. I actually bought my my second mutant when my wife was in the office, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm about to buy another mutant. Mine sold or whatever." She was like, "Oh yeah. How much are you spending?" I'm like, I don't really know." It said like 4. I was like 4 each or whatever. Yeah, the same thing you guys said. Like, okay, what is that though in dollars? And I'm like, I don't really look at dollars, because I was like, yeah, it's a bull market. We don't look at that. We look at the crypto. And so she was like, "You really about to spend 20K on that thing?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, I guess. I guess I'm spending 20K on this mutant." So yeah, wives just don't get it, I don't know.
See, what I did though, Cram, is I explained to her because she's like half Filipino, right? So I told her, I'm like, look, if you're buying water in the Philippines, how many pesos is that? She told me. I was like, all right, cool. How much is that in dollars? She's like, about 50 cents. I'm like, okay, you're in the US right now. If you buy a bottle of water, how much is that? She's like, oh, about $2.50, $3. I'm like, okay, if you are in the Philippines right now, would you pay the equivalent for a bottle of water in pesos? She's like, hell no. I'm like, see, but it's all about the unit of measure. Don't worry about it. It's like water is water, right? It's just what you attribute, like what value you put on it. She's like, yeah, I can kind of see that. I'm like, there you go. But you get to use the case when I'm not using it. And she was like, all right, cool. So you just gotta finesse and make it relatable, I guess is my point. So Dre, it's not too late. I mean, forging just started, and they're really on that end.
I'm gonna try different strategies. I'm gonna go back in, different angles, see what I can finagle. But I haven't given up hope yet. Not quite yet.
Tevi, I don't know how you did it. I just Venmo'd you money. You finessed me so hard just then, bro. Like those big words and all this pesos and bro. Yeah, man. I just sent you money. I don't know how that even happened, bro. I didn't even have your number.
Yeah,
I sent you money.
I don't even know how that worked, but I appreciate you, Jace. Thank you.
I got you, bro.
Hey, you guys. I'm here at the park on Memorial Day cooking out. I just want to say, y'all fathers are not using the Father's Day card just to get the suitcase, which is crazy to me because I'll definitely be using the Mother's Day card.
Yo, that's the alpha right there. Let's go. Shaw's decently deep into NFT. She's got a good amount of them, and we both know we don't ever talk in USD terms. As soon as you start talking USD terms, it just seems a little crazy. So we only use ETH. That's a fact. And she's not a big side quest person. She only got the only side quest she has is the free Animus egg that she claimed was her clone, and then the Murakami drip. 2 pairs of the Murakami drip Air Force Ones. And that was mainly because she'd be listening in here and Dre and Pumpy were talking about potential resale value. So she bought them as an investment solely. So I could never talk her into letting me get a suitcase. There's no way. She's not about the side quest at all. She's like, nope, why don't you just get another clone? She would say some shit like that, I swear.
And that's why the two of you are getting married now. So, good choice.
Yo, Compound Dre, man, I really appreciate you guys. As I put in my appreciation post, I legit appreciate you, and I appreciate the conversation today about the Bitcoin ordinals, BRCs. Appreciate everyone's take, the perspective. I'm just here to, try to open people's minds up. I'm a very open-minded type of guy, and I probably wouldn't even be in crypto and NFTs if I wasn't open-minded, right? And I think we see a lot of our friends and family. Come on, guys, you gotta see me talking. Y'all coming closer and closer. This is crazy. This is crazy. And see, and for those reasons, I gotta get up out of here, man. You know, we about to go to a party. I'm gonna go, drink, relax, eat on this beautiful Memorial Day. So I hope you guys do the same. But again, appreciate the conversation, and we will chat later.
Appreciate you, Cram. Thanks for always making us look at things in a different light, right? I think that's important in here to look at things from different angles, and you're a master of doing that. So I appreciate you.
No, for sure, definitely. I appreciate all the conversations, man. It always gives me a different perspective. Opens my mind to different things because you know how I am with falling in love, and as you can see, even through this conversation, you know what I mean. But I think it brings up a greater point because we get to understand things. You're more of an analytical mind, and we get to view things from your perspective, and that's what I appreciate as well. So thank you, and thank you for the appreciation post, man. It's good to receive the pat on the back every now and then. So thanks, bro.
Kuro, what's good? You're back. We lost you for a second.
Yeah, I went on a dog walking side quest there. I went into a place where I couldn't hear anything anyone was saying. Then I tried to look up at the top because I pay $11 a month to Elon, and I couldn't see any transcripts. So I don't know what that guy's doing, but I know what Artifact's doing. They're giving me what I want, so I'm happy with them.
Man, Kuro has the best takes. Like real talk. Oh man, that's dope.
But like in terms of side quests, like I enjoy the Artifact side quests. I'm not gonna lie, I did enjoy uh, the coupon. It made me quite a fair bit of money. Anyone could say whatever they want, but that coupon that coupon put a lot of money into my pocket, man. like like I can't thank them enough for like I'm not an Air Force guy, and I'm not a Jordan guy. I'm a dunk guy. So like if they wanna make the Genesis dunks the main character again, I'll wait as long as they want me to. I don't care. I just want them. I want what I want, and that's what I want. That's all I want.
I want what I want, and that's what I want. That's all I want. I want, bro. I want to bring up a topic. This one will get Dre Millie going. I guarantee this one will get Dre Millie going, and anybody else can come up and chime in. We're starting. I mean, obviously, Artifacts playbook, right, is the pre-order. You're buying the digital, and you're eventually claiming a physical, right? Right now, right now we know the time frames are pretty wild. It's pretty far out, so like you can start to expect anybody new here when you're minting something. It's not an instant forge, and it's not always an instant forge. Sorry, but the time frames are kind of long. So like my question is, what is the ideal pre-order by mint an NFT, claim and forge? It's at your doorstep. What's the ideal time that we think Artifact can get down to? Production wise, and what would be ideal for you to be happy? I know a lot of us are happy with how it is currently, but like, what do you guys think ideal would be? I want to get everybody's take. And do you guys think this is something that'll become more normalized across industries in general?
Are you about to eat, bro? Are you setting me up for this because you about
No,
to eat?
see,
I haven't even eaten
wait
breakfast
before
yet, bro.
Dre goes, because I just gonna go long.
I can cook some eggs right now. Got Tevy's hand up,
Yeah,
bro. We got Tevy and Ilan up here, dude.
let
We
me
cooking
flip
now,
it
baby.
on Dre because he's gonna go long, and I'm not about to wait like half an hour to say my piece. So,
Is that not a good question though?
oh,
Like
it's
this
a
is like
great
something that
question.
could become
It's
standard,
a
bro.
great
Like,
question. I would say, and Dre's gonna get into it hardcore. I would say for me, 6 months seems excessive. I think if we can get it down to like 2-3 months, that would be ideal. Um, but obviously, we're in the 6 months range right now. Don't mind it. But I love the fact that it guarantees you ultimately the item, right? So I think it's going to be the way that we go, and been talking about that for a little while right now, right? But Dre's going to probably be even more eloquent than I am with this. But I think it's the way to go. It cuts out a ton of waste in the supply chain. You know exactly who your customers are, what they want, when they want it, and you don't waste anything, right? And in that time that you're waiting, you're still generating revenue with people trading back and forth. So I think it makes a ton of sense all around. Um, so yeah, I'm for it, and obviously I wouldn't be in this ecosystem if I wasn't for it. I think it's the way to leverage the technology, blockchain, and solve a lot of the issues that Nike and all the other retailers have out there. So I think this is the way of the future. All right, Dre, now you can go.
So not. um, I'm gonna say this for real. Like, so this goes back to that post that Business Insider put up, that article that they put up, and I created a post about it, asking a question about it, about how Nike is now restructuring things from the inside out. They're making a lot of movements, so-called movements, because we don't know how truthful that is unless Nike puts out the statement, right? But supposedly they're making movements on the inside out due to the stale activity that's happening from the lackluster sales that's been happening these last couple of quarters. And they attribute it to people having enough Jordans, Blazers, and Dunks in their closets already, so they're not buying anymore. I think that's the halfway truth. I think people will always buy these shoes as long as they have they deem that they're worth the purchase. And we're in a place now where people are, all right, so we got the bear market. So if you have investments, most likely your investments are down. We're in this unclaimed or uncalled recession. So people's liquidity most likely is down. And due to the fact of, like I said, what happened with Zade Kicks and him being one of the most official resellers. He was like a distributor. Damn, I'm losing my word. Distributor. And he was hella on top of a lot of resellers and brick and mortar resellers, distribution chains. So he would actually receive these shoes and sell them for under retail months and sometimes years early. So you could get a shoe that was highly coveted, like the Lost and Found Jordan 1s, the Chicago ones that came out last November. Zade Kicks had this on his website back in 2016, and he was selling them for like $150. And if you were on his newsletter, he would give you a discount code where you can get like 30% off. So you get these things typically for like under $100, but it was years ahead. It was a year's pre-order, and nobody knew when the shoe would drop, right? He would always put up shoes that would come out soon, but you didn't know how soon was soon. So it was like when soon situation. And he did this forever, and he only built up his clientele just from word of mouth and how he executed and actually distributed and came through with the shoes if you pre-ordered them. I myself ordered a couple pairs from him. I got my DR Jordans from him. And I had them. It took forever. It took maybe 9 months after the release for me to receive the shoes. But that was at that time looked at as a great thing because after 9 months of the release, that meant I had 9 months that built up the equity, quote unquote, of the secondary sale percentage for that shoe. So I paid $5K for the Dior Jordans. I immediately flipped them for $10K. So it was a $5,000 profit off top. All I had to do was pay and wait. I say that to say, he got shut down around this time last year for getting in over his head and not being able to deliver all of his promised shoes. So he just went bankrupt. So that honestly crippled the entire resale market because it was resale brick and mortar stores that was just ordering from him, and they would wait for their allocation to come in from him and then sell it with a higher percentage on top. And that's how they would make their money. So since he went down, a lot of people went down. And a lot of resellers stopped buying shoes. And that's where we are today and how we ended up here with these Jordan 1s sitting up on shelves because the resale percentages that people were making, they aren't there anymore. So I say all of that to say, to bring me back to this point of the question, how do I feel about pre-sales? I think that is the wave. I think what Artifact did with the forging event is the future. I think that Nike from Doubt Swoosh will see how they execute it and look at the numbers on how people paid and how much they paid, right? Because the secondary sales were astronomical as well. I think Dot Swoosh is going to look at all of this information and they're going to apply it to how they do things when it comes to their releases. I think their upcoming releases, their upcoming product release are going to reflect that. And they're going to have certain opportunities for people to purchase shoes that gives them the utility to forge for physicals. And then essentially it would be the same situation as the forging event where you, if you choose to receive the physical after owning this digital collectible, then you will receive it sometime in the future. I think Nike's going to find a way to streamline that so it doesn't have to be like a 9-month situation or a 6-month situation. I think if they get it down to like a 1, 2, 3-month situation, it would be a win for the consumer because people are tired of striking out on these super hyper quick strike releases that they really want and getting passed up and having to pay secondary prices anyway. If you give the consumer allotted time window to make a purchase similar to the forging event, saying that, all right, we got these off-white Jordan 1s coming out next week. You have a week to make your purchase and order them, but you won't get them for X amount of time, but you're guaranteed your size and your pair, however many pairs you want, as long as you pre-order it. I think that would go through the roof. I think that's the future of what this shoe game will be. And I think they can necessarily take advantage of that by creating the bridge between Dot Swoosh and Nike to be able to give that to the consumer to do so. So that's my point. I think that was the future of the forging event. I think Artifact, of course, are in front of things like they always are. And if you look at the other post that I put up last night, it showcased that as well. A lot of people was basically, it was a well-known YouTuber who asked the question, if you had the opportunity to get these Union 1 Jordan 1s that are coming out soon, if you had the opportunity to get those on pre-order, but you had to wait an X amount of time to get them, would you do it? And I would say 90% of the people who answered the question said yes. So the demand for this opportunity is already there. I think that's another way to drive hype as well, because the people who miss out on that week of the forging, they're going to be like, damn, I missed it. But a lot of people are going to get it. So the people who have it will still be able to wear it to showcase to the people who missed it, to be able to create the hype and the FOMO that drives more secondary sales. And secondary sales can be created and owned by Dot Swoosh if they have the secondary sales marketplace to sell the digital collectible that's tied to the physical collectible to whoever sneakerhead that wants it that missed out on the forging period. So, yeah, I think that's the future of sneaker sales. And like Tevi said, with his quick, fast, and eloquent statement, it gets rid of a lot of the waste. It gets rid of a lot of the wasted time, and it gets rid of the heartbreak, but we can still find ways to infuse the hype and the FOMO that would drive the sales in the first place. And that's my take.
Cooking.
It's a good take. I'm gonna run in, man. I have my hand up for a minute, so I got a little bit of something to say on this, and then I'll let you pass it off there, Comp. But I think that the writing that Nike's seeing on the wall, right, is just full market saturation, and a saturation with the physical product. It's hard to deal with, right? Like you can only wear one pair of shoes at a time. And you can, whenever you house your shoes, there's no real way, to show everybody what you got, right? You can only wear one pair. And so the point, I think, with dovetailing a saturated market that is, you do have a handful of collectors out there that want to, collect everything. But your sort of sneakerhead, not necessarily your sneaker connoisseur, is gonna, they're gonna cherry pick that shit, and they want, they want a handful of kicks, and they want what they want, and they want like, maybe 10, 12 pair max, but they want every one of those. They want a curated collection, right? They want every pair of those that they've sort of curated from the entirety of the collection to be like the top tier or whatever, like whatever their, general personal aesthetic is. They that's what they want. So as far as a saturated market goes, like how do you deal with that? Well, you decrease essentially the price of collecting. So you pull in more collectors, i.e. dot swoosh, and then you push through those pieces that people want to curate. And how do you do that? Well, the demand that essentially gets identified by the price for the dot swoosh, right? The dot swoosh kicks that are the most popular, that people just clamoring hand over fist to add to their digital collection, which has a lower price point. So you bring in more collectors that way. Like collectors will come in if the price point's lower and they don't have to house them. But if once they are able to identify the kicks that everybody wants, then they can produce those. So you push to the fore the curators, and the curation of the sort of cream, but at the same time you allow people to collect at a lower price point and not have to physically house, and to be able to sort of show off their collection. So you have people that can collect everything. I mean, everything that they can possibly get their hands on, and without the sort of high price point of overhead, and also push through those curated collectors that want that cream. So that was all I was going to say about that. And Dot Swoosh and Nike, and I think it's fucking ingenious. I mean, it's definitely groundbreaking shit. And it for sure is the future for every reason that everyone has said thus far. From the waist, from the digital, from the sneakerhead to the sneaker connoisseur. It's very, very important. And I watched Air last night too, so I know that a few people were talking about, that they watched Air in the last few days, and I watched it last night, and I stayed up pretty late watching it, and good flick.
Thanks, Dylan. Let's go to unknown user. What you got for us?
Okay, so I feel like Dot Swoosh is really going to start a forging event, and to get the real Knights. I feel like they need more creators. I think they're running out of ideas, so that's why Dot Swoosh is for creators as well. Then also, I feel like the sneakers app is just going to be like the Nike app, because I got both apps. It's going to be like a third, a get rid of app. That's where you can start doing a resale. Then also, I feel like, fuck, I was in my zone thinking. Also, I feel like when it comes to Dot Swoosh, okay, a lot of people are not reselling, because my cousin just got played. A lot of people are not reselling because if he sold somebody some Jordans, they returned it. They when he got them back, they were fake Jordans, and he couldn't do nothing about it. Just amount of how much he could give them back. A lot of people are getting ripped off reselling shoes as well. So you have consumers ripping off the resellers, and the resellers losing money, which is stopping people from reselling shoes anyway. So that's my intake on it. I stopped reselling shoes because I got played a little bit, but it's you got to think about the bots too. When you're in when you're on like we had on Dot Swoosh, it was hard. Those bots, you gotta get rid of bots. It's like a lot that goes into it, and I don't even think reselling is never gonna be like it is, um, because people are now doing what's that thing called, sneakers con. People are going to sneaker con and just beating people in real life. I feel like we're in the real life era. People are tired of getting gypped online.
Yeah, and
All right, so think about it like this. No, go ahead, Tevi. I ain't gonna do it to you twice on one time. Go ahead.
no, the only thing I was gonna add is like to her point of like people getting ripped off and all that stuff, whether it's retailer or buyer. I think again that's where my point on blockchain comes in and saves the day, right? Like the whole NFC world merging shit. that's what it's all about, and that's what it's addressing. You can't fake assets being tied to the blockchain, and I think that is the real power of this innovation, is by introducing their own marketplace. So that's that swoosh, and potentially Artifact being able to sell, resell on there. It allows you, the consumer or the holder of the asset, to go on there and sell your item, and for whoever is buying, they can again verify that it is indeed authentic, right? Because you can tie it back to the NFT. Uh, and if you're in person at SneakerCon or wherever else, and somebody's like, yeah, this is the so and so of whatever, you can be like, yeah, let me scan that real quick. And right there and then, you can tell, is it fake or real, right? So that's why I think that's a big value proposition for why I think this is the way we're moving long term.
So let's say if I bought shoes from you, right, online, and I'm the consumer and I'm returning them, you check the box and they're fake, they're duds. I gave you back some fake shoes, but I already got my money back. So I got my money back. It's like, it's hard to do that because people, there's always going to be scammers. There's always going to be scammers. And even those scammers are out thinking the machines and all that. So it's just going to be hard. It's really going to be hard because I just know, because the way that scamming is, it's 10 times
Um,
worse online.
yeah, so I do think if you return it and you get scammed that way, in the same way that you can, I mean, you can't stop people from scamming you, right? But in the same way that you can open a ticket with, I don't know, like PayPal or any of those things, I think the same thing will be there to kind of help with that. But yeah, you can't stop somebody from buying from you and then returning it or saying, hey, I want to return it. I mean, I guess you could always say all sales are final, right? And as
Did we lose him?
Tevington, where'd you go?
Gotta go. All right, let's say this. Tevin was going on something. It's proper channels
can you
that you
guys
have
hear
to
me?
take to protect. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Proper
sorry.
channels you have to take to protect yourself. PayPal is one of them. Venmo, eBay. It's just certain things that you have to do as a reseller or a secondary market to protect yourself. If your cousin is sending them directly to the buyer and the buyer saying, "Yo, I want to return them," it's like, no, all sales final. There's no returns, bro. You stuck with them because that for that same exact reason. This is something that's not new. People have been doing this since the beginning of secondary sales, since the early 2000s, in the 90s. So it's just the ways that you got to go and to protect yourself when you're handling these secondary sales if you are that secondary seller. So that's the way to prevent that. But you did make a great point, unknown user, smiley face lock. You said about people being able to have Dot Swoosh as another app. And I think that's the great point behind all of this because Sneakers app can still go on and be for the people who don't want to dive into this whole sector or deal with any of these digital collectibles or anything like that. They can take their shot at the release date of whatever sneaker that's being dropped on the Sneakers app. If they get it, they get it. If they don't, they don't. But then if Nike integrates Dot Swoosh as a potential another path for people to make purchases the same way they did with their last bot or the last release of the sneaker boxes, right? Of the old boxes or the new whatever, right? I forgot the name of them. I got a whole lot of brain
New
fog
Wave.
today. It's crazy. New Wave, thank you. But it's a new opportunity to build consumers and have a new consumer experience so they can jump into it and say, all right, if you have a Dot Swoosh account, you can, if you have a Dot Swoosh account and you have this digital collectible from this release, you have 24 hours where you can make a purchase on this up and coming digital collectible that will give you the utility to forge for the physical sneaker. And then you can buy one on each account if you have this digital collectible that grants you access, the tokenization that grants you access. And then after that 24 hours is over, they give access to the general public, same way they did with this last release. And once it's gone, it's gone. I think that's what they are building towards. It seems like it would be a good idea to build towards that, right? Because that's why they're testing out how it works on a release like this, just with the sneaker boxes. and they're trying to learn how to combat the bots on this system, so they can finally release something that gives people the access to the physical sneaker as
which
well.
is,
And it
I'm gonna
also
say this.
it would give, but it will also give people another path to make purchases, right? Like if you got the sneakers app for the day one purchases and you miss, you miss. If you get it, you get it. But you also have the dot swoosh platform that gives you this special access and the general access, and gives you more of a shot to make the pre-order and go on that path as well. So it just gives Nike more options for the consumers who want to dive into Web 2 or the consumers who want to dive into Web 3.
I'm gonna say to get rid of the bots, it was the posters. The posters gave you the access for the early, digital sales. So I think that's how they're just doing a drawing. That's how they're gonna draw, is giving away posters, which is smart. But if a shoe, if you want to forge a shoe, you gotta, hopefully you get access to a poster just to forge a shoe, or you gotta go to a secondary site to buy them.
Well, what if Nike or Dot Swoosh had they own the secondary site they created, and you don't receive a poster, and you don't want to? The people who do receive a poster don't want to necessarily make that purchase of that specific shoe. They can sell it on the secondary
Which is
store
the
to the people who
marketplace.
do. Yeah, and then they will have. So it gives them. If you think about it, they're creating an ecosystem, or the potential to create an ecosystem that houses everything for the consumer to be able to be a part of in one place. Go to sneakers for the Gotham drop. If you miss it, you miss it. Go to Dot Swoosh if you have the access or the token that gives you access. If you don't want that access, but you know you can sell it to somebody else who wants access, put on the secondary market, sell it to them. Everybody's happy, and it reinvigorates this entire ecosystem that deals with sneakers in the first place.
And gets rid of the bots, which is, that's good. Okay.
I think everybody had some really, really good points. The only one I want to like double down on as well is just not something that's like my favorite part about it, but it's just something that is important to me, is the ability to have access via whatever access token gets you that drop. Say it would be CloneX, getting access to the Air Force Ones, right? And then minting that and being able to change my mind or post it up for sale when if I change my mind, or even speculate completely on secondary before the actual forge. You have a time frame where you can still make money without ever having to take physical inventory into your house. Like as an example is Pranksy, right? Pranksy had minted 40 pairs of CIRLs. And at one point, he had a change of heart. He said, okay, I can't take 40 pairs of CIRLs into my home and then have to resell them as physicals. He had the option to then go sell them as a digital and move all that inventory without ever touching a box. So I think that's a super important part. It allows people who are there just to speculate or even have a change of heart, change of mind, to kind of make a financial decision. And he ended up buying a bunch of Air Force Ones instead, which is a really cool aspect without ever touching a physical. So that's one thing that I think about too. Why this kind of method is special. It allows a whole different type of people to get into the game without needing space in their home.
And they get the option to flex, right? Say you have all of your sneaker collection as a digital collectible, and you wearing a certain pair of sneakers, and you go somewhere and somebody like, oh, I like those shoes, and you're like, oh, bro, you like these? Look this, look, check this out. I got these, I got these, I got these, I got these. And say that person was like, yo, I've been looking for those pair. How much you want for them? And he's like, yo, give me XYZ for them. I send them to you right now. They can send them the digital token, and if that token has the utility to be forged for the physical pair, that person can buy that token. Oh man, I appreciate the transaction, forge it for the physical pair, and then in a month or two receive that actual physical pair. Or if Nike finds a way to streamline it, which I feel like they could, it's Nike, bro. You get them next week. You order them this week, you get them next week. Dope stuff. Like that would revolutionize this entire sneaker experience.
Then it'll cost less. What's that thing called?
Wait,
Producing. Because I remember,
production.
they producing a lot of sneakers, which keep on having a shock drop because they produce a lot of sneakers and a lot of people are not buying them. So they do shock drop after shock drop. So I believe this will stop causing a lot of producing and just knowing who wants what and who doesn't want what.
And if
Agreed.
you think about the integration of the CRLs, right, the shock drops are still a good thing because I think it releases that certain chemical in your mind that makes you just that dopamine when you're like, oh shit, I just feel good because I got this shoe today, right? That's just part of the game, right? Whether people want to realize it or not. But imagine having a shock drop attached to the amount of steps that you taking in your CRLs, or you walk into this certain place, like all of the integration that we've been talking about for so long. Those are the things that are tying to the Business Insider article that they posted up, talking about Nike made some readjustments within their ecosystem because of the stale drops. This is what's needed. This is the next step to it all. And I believe that dot swoosh is the key, the onboarding key. That's why they created it with such a play school, my first NFT process, so people won't feel like they're so intimidated by even jumping into this realm. But once they get in here, they can realize the possibilities that come along of just being here. And that's the whole point of all of this, the next level point of all of this. Did you cook? Did
Everybody
you eat?
No, no, everybody's got some good takes. I actually was going to end this out right about now. We're going to be back at like 7 o'clock tonight. We got Clone Conspiracies at 5. Any other clone led spaces today, or any other good spaces on the schedule? If anything, I'll see everybody at Clone Conspiracies, and then 7 tonight, 7 Pacific Standard International only time for Bad Take. I appreciate y'all coming out. I've this turned into a dope speculation space. There's only so much you could talk about the forging of the suitcases, so I'm down. I'm down to speculate. So we'll see y'all later tonight. Dre, you got anything for us?
No, I'm good, man. Go ahead and rug this bitch.
Let's go.